Hey guys, it's me and Joel, Bisaya reader. Welcome back to another video, and for today I'm going to show you the books I've read for the month of April 2020. So for the month of April, I haven't read that much of book. I've only read 4 books, and if you're going to tell me, yeah, 4 books is just the same, pretty much similar numbers to the number of books you finished for the first 3 months of this year. But apparently, if we're just going to consider the average pages I finished for the month of April, it's pretty bad and very low compared to the average pages that I've finished reading for the first 3 months. So yeah, for the further ado, these are the books that I've finished reading for the month of April. I'm going to present this in chronological order of when did I finish them. So I'm going to start with the Heartstopper by Alice Osman. It's a graphic novel. I have been on a lot of distractions and also a reading slump, especially on the first part of April. I've been on a reading slump for almost 2 weeks. So Heartstopper by Alice Osman, I chose to read this aside from a lot of my friends on Instagram have been reading this and been loving this graphic novel. I want to pull myself out of the reading slumps. That's why I chose to read a graphic novel so that I can read it as fast and dive right into it, and then finish it in one setting. I did not really expect that I'm not going to like it. I thought I'm going to like it, but my standards when it comes to graphic novel has been influenced by saga and also monstrous. When it comes to graphic novel, I'm a reader who has you do really appreciate the attention to details, especially what monstrous the monstrous graphic novel just really raised the bar higher than what I normally do. So when I read the Heartstopper, it was that underwhelming. But with regards to the story, I also did not like it because I caught myself cringing all throughout the story. It's not a bad graphic novel. I do think that the graphic novel isn't really for me, so I gave it 2 stars out of 5. The next book that I've finished reading for the month of April is going to be Bound by Mark Lawrence. This is a short story inside the trilogy or the universe of the Book of Ancestor, the Red Sister, Grey Sister, and Whole Sister, which I do really love. I finished Holy Sister, and that's when I discovered that there's actually a short story between books 2 and 3. Holy Sister is this third and finale of the trilogy. So I was still on reading slump, and I discovered the short story was just 49 pages long. So I dived right into it, and even though it's just 49 pages long, it took me 2 days to finish it. But I was just really happy after finishing it that it gave me the entertainment that I really need. So it was a solid 5 stars. I did not expect I'd miss the characters in the world in the Book of Ancestors trilogy by Mark Lawrence that much. I was so happy I was able to experience the world again and meet the characters again, even though it was just really short. Aside from it was just really short. Bound short story by Mark Lawrence was full of actions. It was thrilling. The magic system was still there. The greatness of the characters, you can still able to appreciate that, and also the writing style. It's still superb. The third book that I've read and finished on the month of April is going to be one of the most surprising reads I have for this year, and this is going to be Crown of Feathers by Nick Pau Preto. This is a young adult fantasy, and I'm saying that this is a very surprising read because I did not really expect that I'm going to be obsessed or loving this book. I dived into this book with very low expectations, but this book blew me away. There were some issues, of course. Let's start with issues before, so that we can end with the positive note. My only issue for this book is the info dumping. This book does feel like more of the adult side than the young adult side because of the info dumping. The info dumping was not normal info dumping. It was not just too much. Saying too much of info dumping was an understatement in this book. The info dumping on this book for the first part or the first chapters was more than too much. It was really, really hard to follow. It was too much info dumping that it might discourage readers to continue reading the book. But the info dumping just really, strengthened the positive note of the info dumping, aside from giving us what's the story all about. is that it strengthens the magic system, it strengthens the world. The world building was phenomenal, thanks to the magic, to the info dumping, and also, um, yeah, it strengthens the characters. So once we're done with the info dumping part, once we reach the halfway of the book and then until the end, it was just so good, and I was just blown away by how good this book is. This is a young adult fantasy. We're following our two main characters. They're sisters, and they are animages in this world set by the author and the story. Animages are preferred dangerous, and they're being hunted by the humans because they give threats to this uprising or the second war between animages and humans. There used to be a war between humans and animages, and Yuan won, and so the survivor or the remaining animages preferred to lay low and just keep their identity, real identity hidden. They just have to, deal with it, because if humans find will find out who they are really, if they're animages, they'll become slave or they will be killed. So the animages, the two main characters are animages. If we're going to estimate our animages, these are people who have the ability to control animals, including phoenixes. So they are really dangerous and powerful over normal humans, because humans are just humans and animages can ride phoenixes, and phoenixes are badass characters, badass creatures in this book. So our main characters are looking for a phoenix eggs because they want to own a phoenix, and they want to be a phoenix riders, and they want to also travel to the secret camp where phoenix riders are trained secretly to become phoenix riders, to gather troops or forces for next war or an uprising against humans, because they need to fight for their freedom. It was so good. It was full of action, and aside from the info dumping, this was close to perfection. The twist was out of this world. I was not really expecting that. It was emotional. It was action packed. Characters were superb. There were romance also here, which, you know me, I don't like romance regardless of genres or categories. As long as there's romance, I'm really not going to buy the story or the entire book. But this one, even though I discovered there were romance, it was just bearable for me. It was not that. It was the romance that did not took over the entire story, because the only moment I do hate romance is that because if the romance or the love side take over, or changes the entire plot, because the girl meets the boy and they need to fight for their love. That's a trope that I can't really stand. In this one, there were romance. There was a romance. There were a lot of romance, but it was bearable. So I forgave the author for that. It was still enjoyable. Kudos. I can't wait to read the second book. And we're down to the last book I've read for the month of April, and that is going to be Hatchet. It's classic by Gary Paulson. I heard a lot of good things about this one, but unfortunately, after reading this, I found myself to be on the hater side. I'm not going to say that I hate it because the book was bad. I'm going to say that I hate it because this book was not really for me. The main reason why I don't like about this book, aside from the very understandable that the writing style was simple and outdated, but the fact that it was too good to be true. There were a lot of things that happened to the main character. He was on a plane crash. He survived a plane crash, so yeah, it's a miracle. But things that happened to him after that, like the characters went through a lot of hells, and he was still able to survive that. It was just really too good to be true. I know it's fiction, but it was just really unrealistic, and it was just not. I was just not really buying everything that was happening to the main characters. So I was not really invested, even though we need to be invested since we're only following one character in the book, which is the main character. We're following him and how he survives after his, plane crash in the remote jungle, and fight to survive for his life, to feed himself, look for shelter. We need to buy it. We need to follow him because there's no other characters we can going to follow. But still, it was really bad. It was just too much. So I end up giving this 2 stars. Or 3. I think I gave it 3, from 2 to 3, because the main reason why I made it from 2 to 3 is that because of it was atmospheric, and times of quarantine. I was just really looking for a book that will take me to places aside from my room and our unit. So the book was able to take me to a jungle, lake vibes, greens, and a lot of animals, birds chirping. So kudos to the author for that. But aside from that, that's it. That's the only thing I like about the book. So yeah, So yeah, thank you so much, guys. This is just going to be a really short video. I haven't read that much for the month of April since I was distracted. I've been doing a lot of video games, watching a lot of TV series. I did a lot of stuff on social media, if you know. And I was on a reading slump. So hopefully I'll be able to bounce back on the on the month of May. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Joel. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment down below. Bye bye.